1. Your first impression is usually wrong. Have you ever met someone and decided within just a few seconds whether you liked them or not? Maybe they looked confident, friendly, or perhaps they seemed arrogant, cold, or untrustworthy. The strange part is, you barely knew anything about them, yet your brain had already made a decision. Psychologists call this the halo effect. Your brain loves making quick judgments because thinking carefully takes time and energy. So instead, it creates shortcuts. If someone is attractive, your brain may assume they're kind. If someone speaks confidently, you may believe they're intelligent. If someone dresses well, you might assume they're successful. But here's the problem. None of those things actually prove who that person is. They're simply first impressions. And first impressions are often incomplete. Research has shown that once we form an opinion, our brains begin searching for evidence to support it. We notice the things that confirm our first impression and ignore the things that contradict it. Without realizing it, we stop seeing the person as they really are. We only see the version our brain created. That's why first impressions can be incredibly powerful. But they're not always accurate. So the next time you meet someone new, pause for a moment. Ask yourself one simple question. Am I judging this person? Or is my brain simply filling in the blanks? Because sometimes, the first thing your brain believes is the furthest thing from the truth. 2. Your brain loves confirmation, not truth. Have you ever argued with someone? Even after they showed you evidence, you still refused to change your mind? You're not alone. In fact, your brain does this every day. Psychologists call it confirmation bias. Instead of searching for the truth, your brain searches for agreement. Once you believe something, whether it's about politics, health, money, or even another person, your brain begins filtering information. It eagerly accepts facts that support your opinion. But when it sees evidence that challenges your belief, it becomes skeptical. It questions the source. It looks for flaws. Or simply ignores it. Why? Because changing your mind feels uncomfortable. Psychologists call this cognitive dissonance. When new information conflicts with your existing beliefs, your brain experiences mental tension. And instead of changing the belief, it often rejects the new information. That's why two people can look at the exact same facts and reach completely different conclusions. Not because one is smarter than the other, but because each brain is protecting the beliefs it already has. The more emotionally attached you are to an opinion, the harder it becomes to let it go. Ironically, the people who are most certain they're right are often the least willing to question themselves. So the next time you strongly disagree with someone, pause for a moment. Ask yourself one simple question. Am I searching for the truth? Or am I simply searching for proof that I'm already right? Because sometimes, the biggest obstacle to learning something new is believing you already know the answer. 3. Your memory changes every time you recall it. Have you ever remembered an event from years ago, only to discover someone else remembers it completely differently? Who is right? Surprisingly, maybe neither of you. Psychologists have discovered that memory doesn't work like a video recording. It works more like a story. Every time you remember something, your brain doesn't simply replay it. It rebuilds it, piece by piece. Psychologists call this memory reconsolidation. Each time a memory is recalled, it briefly becomes flexible. During that moment, new emotions, new information, and even other people's opinions can quietly change it. Then your brain stores the updated version, not the original one. That's why childhood memories often change over time. It's also why eyewitnesses can confidently remember details that never actually happened. The scary part is, false memories can feel just as real as true ones. Because your brain isn't trying to preserve perfect accuracy. It's trying to create a story that makes sense. The more times you remember something, the more opportunities your brain has to rewrite it. Little by little, the original memory fades, and the edited version becomes your new reality. So the next time you're absolutely certain about an old memory, pause for a moment. Ask yourself one simple question. Am I remembering what really happened? Or am I remembering the last version my brain created? Because sometimes, the biggest liar you'll ever meet isn't another person. It's your own memory. 4. Your brain hates unfinished tasks. Have you ever tried to fall asleep, only to remember something you forgot to do? A message you never replied to. A project you never finished. A promise you never kept. Suddenly, your brain refuses to let it go. Why? Psychologists call this the Zeigarnik effect. Your brain remembers unfinished tasks much better than completed ones. Once a task is finished, your brain relaxes. It lets go. But unfinished tasks remain mentally open. Your brain keeps bringing them back. Again. And again. As if it's saying, don't forget. This is why unfinished conversations, incomplete homework, or half-finished goals can stay in your mind for days, even when you're trying to focus on something else. The interesting part is, you don't actually have to finish the task immediately. Simply making a clear plan, or writing it down, can help your brain feel that progress has been made. That's why to-do lists are so effective. They give your brain permission to stop repeating the reminder. Your brain isn't trying to annoy you. It's trying to protect you from forgetting something important. So the next time an unfinished task keeps popping into your mind, pause for a moment. Ask yourself one simple question. Do I need to finish it right now? Or do I simply need a plan for finishing it later? Because sometimes, the biggest source of stress isn't the work itself. It's leaving it unfinished. 5. Your brain confuses familiar with true. Have you ever heard a statement over and over again until it simply felt true? Even though no one ever showed you any evidence. That's not a coincidence. It's one of the brain's oldest shortcuts. Psychologists call this the illusory truth effect. The more often you hear something, the more familiar it becomes. And the more familiar it feels, the more likely your brain is to believe it. Not because it's true, but because it's easy to process. Your brain loves familiarity. It mistakes familiarity for accuracy. That's why advertisements repeat the same slogans. Why rumors spread so quickly. And why misinformation can become surprisingly believable. Imagine hearing the same claim 10 times from different people on different days. Eventually, you stop questioning it. Not because you verified it, but because your brain says, I've heard this before. It must be true. The scary part is, false information repeated 100 times can sometimes feel more believable than the truth you hear only once. That's why critical thinking is so important. Instead of asking, have I heard this before? Ask, what's the evidence? Because repetition is not proof. So the next time a statement feels obviously true, pause for a moment. Ask yourself one simple question. Do I believe this because it's true? Or because I've heard it so many times? Because sometimes, the easiest lie to believe is the one you've heard the most.